Hello, my name is Riley McLean, and I'm here today to talk to you about the concept of diversity hiring in Canadian businesses. I will start by reviewing its definition, its historical purpose, and its current relevance. The notion of diversity hiring was not historically at the core of Canadian hiring practices, and yet businesses may now consider certifying themselves if they are at least 51% owned by an underrepresented group. This change can be answered largely due to the fact that the business market is globalized and there is now a resistance to historically discriminatory practices, resulting in the phenomenon of the diversity hire and resulting in its increasing presence across Canadian businesses. The concept of diversity hiring is intended to foster workplace diversity through the hiring process, though it comes in many forms and with varying degrees of efficiency, as you will see throughout this presentation. First, we have to define diversity. Why should Canadians hire with this concept in mind? Well, the definition of diversity hiring has changed over time and it varies by company, but it generally refers to the inclusive hiring of all segments of society. This includes people such as women, youth, seniors, LGBTQ plus peoples, Indigenous peoples, and immigrants. However, it is increasingly recognized that inequality exists in the Canadian workplace based on issues such as race, gender, and ability. Systemic discrimination is therefore the result of this because the unfair disadvantage is proven to exist within the culture and the structure of the workplace. The history of diversity hiring actually began with the creation of its inverse notion during the landmark Supreme Court of Canada case, which identified discriminatory practices during the employment occurring on the National Railway. What is called employment equity has been the response of the Canadian government since then to discrimination and disadvantage in hiring practices. Employers covered under the Federal Employment Equity Act of 1986 and the Federal Contractors Program of 1986 are now required to report data on the diversity profile of their workforce. Additionally, they are required to exhibit some sort of initiative, which includes targeted hiring and a promotion of diversity. And they have to also prove that they have sustained at least some measures to remove discrimination in employment practices. Moreover, employers are subject to compliance audits, and the reports of employers are available to the public and to the Canadian Human Rights Commission, which means that they have the power to file complaints of discrimination and pursue legal action against companies who fail to provide responses or to follow these guidelines. So what does diversity hiring look like now? Well, there are two principal ways in which we've been able to organize or categorize diversity hiring, and those two ways are through targeted hiring or diversification through training and promotion. Targeted hiring, which is the first example here, is attempting to gain a certain number or a certain percentage of people from an underrepresented or multiple underrepresented groups in order to compose a team that has a certain level of diversification. This numerical calculation, while seemingly efficient, actually does not benefit diversity because it doesn't support the representation of those designated groups after they've been hired. Targeted hiring, unfortunately, assumes that once hired, members of the designated groups will be able to access full and equal participation in the workplace without fear of safety or unfairness in development opportunities. And as a result, there's evidence that discrimination and harassment have continued to contribute to job dissatisfaction and a loss of diverse employees when targeted hiring is used. The second means of diversification is training and promotion. One example of this, provided by the magazine Canada's Top 100's Canada's Best Diversity Employers article, praised Air Canada by allowing an employee to discuss her personal experience with their diversity hiring practices. The article featured a woman named Shannon Sunshine, and she was from Saskatchewan's Fishing Lake First Nation, where there is a mixed population of Cree and Saulteaux people. Shannon discusses her love for aviation and how important it is to her that Air Canada, which is a global company, is committed to Indigenous recruitment, and she now helps Air Canada to recruit employees, which furthers the culture of diversification within the company. In addition to targeted hiring, Air Canada also sends out a daily newsletter which features an article discussing and promoting cultural diversity. Moreover, many women hold high-level positions within this company, and Air Canada is a longtime supporter of the LGBTQ+ community. Finally, Air Canada has diversity committees in 3 major Canadian cities: Montreal, Toronto, and Vancouver. It is for these reasons that they have been praised so highly and are so notable as an organization, regarded as a leader in diversification because of their training and promotional practices. So what are the benefits to not only hiring diverse employees, but to retaining these employees? Well, according to the 2016 Supplier and Diversity in Canada report by the Canadian Centre for Diversity and Inclusion, there are many important benefits that support the case for supplier diversity. These benefits include things like improved employee engagement, increased access to diverse markets, and community relationship building. Additionally, raising diversification standards allows for free advertisement and an improved competitive edge because of articles like those featured on Canada's Top 100. In analyzing diversity standards today, an excellent source of information comes from these articles. Now in its 12th year, the Canada's Best Diversity Employers Inclusiveness Program recognizes employees across Canada that have exceptional workplace diversity and inclusiveness programs themselves. To determine the winners of this competition, diversity and inclusiveness initiatives by employers that applied for the project are reviewed, and a list of top employers is generated. The result for the finalists is that they represent diversity leaders in both their industry and their region, and each receives individual praise in the annual publication of this magazine. We come to the final part of this presentation, which asks, how can Canadians continue to improve and diversify, taking into account this long-sustained history, its increase, and all the opportunities and benefits that come with this kind of hiring? First, you have to decide what is important to your business and make it known through training and promotion. That means not only are you advertising for and supporting diversity within the community, but you're training employees after the hiring process to ensure that there's a culture and a structure that is mindful of diversity and its importance. As a business owner, you must also become sensitive to different cultures. This can be especially meaningful if you are in or you serve a very diverse neighborhood, because there may be different things that you need to be mindful of, such as holidays. That takes me to the next point, which is to allow employees to take time off for significant cultural holidays, even if they are not those of the business owner, not just the traditional or provincially or federally accepted holidays. You must also take the time to consider others' positions, viewpoints, and try and understand them the best that you can. Being respectful always of thoughts and ideas. Lastly, it's important to engage with a diverse customer base and be inclusive and thoughtful in the way that you market yourselves. Policy in this case, when it comes to training, promotion, and hiring, should not simply exist to create representation, but to inspire learning and collaboration in an increasingly global business world. Thank you so much for listening to my presentation. Have a great day.